What is up, people? Welcome back to the channel. So this is episode 2, I suppose, in the Peaking series. So today I'm going to be going through my nutrition for the next few weeks because I have to make weight. So I'm sitting at around 96 kilos at the moment. I need to make it to the 93 kilo weight class. So over the next few weeks, I'm being far more diligent with my nutrition. Previously, in the last few weeks, I have been kind of sitting at around 4,000 calories, whereas like now I'm going to be sitting at around 3,600 calories, which is around my maintenance. So in this video, I'm going to go through how my nutrition is going to look throughout the day, why I'm doing what I'm doing, how I'm going to potentially go about my weight cut, and I'll just discuss a little bit more about how you can optimize your nutrition for performance. So just on the way to the gym now, it's Sunday, so it is squats on the menu. So I'm going to work up to around 235. Training this week has been going pretty good so far, so I'll show up on the screen my deadlifts from this week. The deadlift did 600 or 272 and then did triple at 260. So pretty happy with how that moves, and like they felt pretty good. I didn't really feel too fatigued after the session itself. Now we're going to be talking about nutrition today and going through like how my nutrition is going to be set up. So I did mention that I'm weighing in at around 96 kilos at the moment, and I have to put down to 93. So I've lowered my calories just slightly this week, just to try to get my morning weight to be averaging around like the low 95s. Because if I get myself down to that, then historically during a weight cut the week prior, just doing some kind of carb and fat manipulation, I can usually drop about 2.5 kilos. So it'd be pretty handy if I get down to 95. I can just kind of train it that way, eat pretty comfortably, like still eating like pretty high food, and then I shouldn't have to do anything drastic the week of the competition. So I already see my breakfast. Now the next thing I have in my arsenal is this. So this intra workout, so some carbs. Because this session it's gonna take me about two and a half hours maybe to get through. It's heavy weights, squats, bench, RDLs, accessories. So it takes a good bit of time, and add to that, it's really hot at the moment, so it's like 27 degrees. So an adequate hydration, having adequate carbs, adequate like electrolytes during the session is pretty important. So I'm sweating quite a lot during the sessions, and I don't know if it's because I'm fat or it's because I'm not. Probably a combination of the two. And because of the length of the session, it means it's going to be a while between my first meal and my second meal. So just having some carbs in that, there is some EAAs in it as well. So that should keep me taking over until I get home. That's pretty much how I have my nutrition set up prior to the gym. Now, Thursday session and my Sunday session are the only sessions I'm actually performing in like the early part of the day. So I am using some pre-workout, and I'm just keeping pre-workout around the most important sessions of the week, so my heaviest deadlift and my heaviest squat. I'm trying to keep that level of hype, that level of arousal for only certain training periods, because that just essentially adds to mental fatigue. If I am going into my Tuesday session getting like all hyped up, and I have to factor in on Tuesdays, it's a very busy day for work, so that is going to add into the fatigue, and then that will just fuck up my sleep as well because I'm training in the afternoon then. So making sure I'm being smart with my caffeine intake, so I can prioritise recovery, prioritise sleep, and yeah, not get too fucked up. So finally back from the gym, and it is 3:30, so 3:30 and I'm only on meal number 2. But for that reason, after I train now, I'm just having cereal, fruit smoothie, and the cereal with some chocolate milk. Bear in mind I have 2 meals still to eat after this. So I want to have something that is quick digestion, has a lot of carbs in it, and it's not going to make me feel too full. When we're thinking about like a smoothie, right? So this is a good volume of fruit in it. There's about like 300 grams of fruit in this and some protein. Now, if I was to eat all that, that'd make me very full. But because I'm drinking it, it's not gonna make me as full. Because your stomach doesn't have time to kind of relay back to your brain that you're starting to get full, because you're drinking it quicker than that response can happen. So the cereal, again, nothing magic about it. I've added some salt because it was a pretty sweaty session today. And then chocolate milk because it's really nice. The macros in this are unreal. Per 250 mils, it's 150 calories, 4.5 grams of fat, 14 grams of protein, 13 grams of carbs. It's pretty fucking decent. This is post-workout meal. I'm gonna get it down before I start to run out of time. All right, so it's hungry o'clock, time for meal number 3. And the next meal is going to be a more whole food type of deal. So we're gonna have some potatoes. I have a cooked chicken here because I'm lazy and it's just, they're convenient and they're really tasty too. And then veg in this meal is gonna be green beans, tomatoes and mushrooms. As you can see, I already had mushrooms and tomatoes already today, but it's so fucking good. When it comes to what I think about for like performance nutrition and how I approach it myself is, I don't necessarily think of performance nutrition as the meals I'm having either side of my training sessions. Obviously, they are contributing towards my performance and towards my recovery. And generally, I do try to prioritize the majority of my carbohydrates around the training session. So for example, prior to training today and after training, I had consumed just over 300 grams of carbs as the majority of my carbs for the day. So I have like 160 or so left. But every other meal that I have throughout the day as well, I'm thinking about how is this either gonna impact my health, and then how can it impact my performance off the back of that. The foods I pick later on throughout the day, or the other times throughout the day that aren't training, around the training window, are going to be whole food based, things that are going to be high in nutrients, or they could just be serving the role of maybe just making sure I'm getting closer to my calories. So for example, as opposed to just using potatoes, which can be quite filling, I might use more kind of white rice. However, I'm really enjoying potatoes at the moment. I'm going to show you the best way to make potatoes. Have potatoes, honestly, if like you are trying to improve the nutritional adequacy of your diet, you can't really go wrong with having the old white spud. Good source of fiber, good source of potassium, packed with huge amount of micronutrients and minerals, and it's so versatile, you know. Then we have chicken, so my kind of my lean protein source of the meal. And then pretty much throughout the day, I try to get in around 400 to 600 grams at minimum of vegetables. One of the reasons for it being, if I'm going to be doing some type of fiber manipulation coming up to the competition, I need to have fiber to manipulate, right? My daily totals bring me to about 40 to 50 grams of fiber per day, and most of us should be trying to get in 25 grams plus anyway per day. So that gives me a lot of kind of wiggle room to reduce roughage within my stomach to help me make weight closer to the time. That is essentially my kind of view on performance nutrition. So it's not just the meals you're having either side of the training session, but if you want to take your sport seriously, take your training seriously, think about how all of the meals that you're having throughout the day are going to impact your performance, because there's a long list of micros as well as the macros that you do need to hit, and you're unlikely hitting them in your pre-workout, your post-workout meal. So you need to consider the other meals throughout the day and how you can improve the nutritional adequacy of those through having in more kind of whole sources. You know, having the likes of things like potatoes, sweet potatoes, having the likes of different types of veg, different colors, and that will essentially help you get the most from your training. First step in making your spuds taste amazing: yellow flesh potatoes. Stab holes in them. Now the next step is to throw them into the microwave, and I usually go for about 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes per 100 grams. We are going to cut these into wedges. I pop them into the air fryer. Cover in salt and pepper. Spray oil. Then we're gonna throw in here
There she blows. Look at those spuds. Don't they look fucking amazing? Yes, now. We'll give that method a go. So there we have our veg, have our Shaquille O'Neal. Beautiful meal number 3. So one major aspect of keeping this body weight managed is just ensuring that I'm doing a sufficient amount of activity outside of my training sessions. So it's very common for when people drop their calories to also drop their energy expenditure. So this kind of like manifests itself in just like sitting down for longer, for example. So I'm being very aware that I need to keep my steps at a certain level to ensure that, you know, this does not happen. So I'm aiming for about 10 to 11,000 steps per day, and that may mean that I have to go out for an extra walk. I think this is like overlooked like aspect that maybe there is within powerlifting, is keeping active outside of your training. Because like, yeah, you may train for like 4 or 5 times a week, but there's many other hours within the day, within a week, where you could be, you know, optimizing different fitness adaptations. Now, it doesn't necessarily be optimizing, but increasing your cardiovascular capacity. You can do that by going for brisk walks. So going on a walk where you are walking fast enough that if you're trying to talk, it may be a little bit hard to sustain the conversation. Now, what can that do for you as a powerlifter? Well, it can decrease the time between your sets. It can decrease the amount of recovery that you need to do between your training sessions, and therefore you can accumulate more volume. You can recover more efficiently and get better results as a result of being more cardiovascularly fit. Now, how would you know if you are cardiovascularly fit? Well, do you get gassed on sets of 8? If you are gassed on sets of 8, you're probably, you know, very cardiovascularly unfit. Another way that you can look at it is, what is your resting heart rate? If your resting heart rate is like over 60, probably a little bit unfit, and you could probably do it lower. Get your resting heart rate between the 40 to 60 range, and you know, your performance, your recovery capacity is going to skyrocket. Now, while the steps and the energy expenditure is important, like, the input is obviously the most important factor here, right? How many calories you're taking in, how much protein you're taking in, how many carbs, the food quality that you're taking in. Like, that is going to be the best way to kind of manage your body weight and effectively make your performance better for your sport. Now, I think it is getting much better within powerlifting. Like, there are a lot more people who are seeking out like nutrition coaching and becoming more aware of like what they're putting into their body to, you know, perform better. Because at the end of the day, you have a degree of variability that you're going to have day to day when you go to the gym, how you're going to perform. So why add more variability into the mix by having things outside of the gym being variable? You know, you can make your nutrition very consistent. You can make the energy intake you're taking in very consistent. You can make your sleep very consistent. You can manage all of these things to ensure that when you are training, you are getting better training sessions and better results. Like, realistically, if you want to compete in a sport and you want to call yourself an athlete, nutrition and prioritizing recovery should be like, they should be non-negotiable for you. You shouldn't even really have to think about them. You shouldn't really have to be like convinced to do them. You should want to do them, because, you know, the guy you're competing against, he is going to be doing all that stuff. He's going to be making sure that he is, like, you know, optimizing his energy intake, having really good food quality, you know, optimizing his protein intake, like, and a lot of that stuff is really not that hard. Like, again, as I mentioned, there's a lot of people going for nutrition coaching these days. I have a lot of powerlifters on my roster, and, you know, we make the process pretty fucking seamless for them. The only time the process actually gets any way complicated is when we come up to a weight cut. And even with that, if we're doing things right, like, we're probably not cutting that much weight. Like, what I'm doing at the moment with myself is what I do with my clients. Like, 6 weeks out from competition, we're making sure that we are within a body weight range of like 3 to 5% from their weight cap. And then from there, we're just making sure we have the diet pretty much kind of in order. We're not really kind of like messing around with too many like off-plan meals or anything like that. We're standardizing our energy output, and then it will just make the actual week before the competition really, really easy to make the manipulations that we need to, like our carbs and fats, to our fiber, and then make weight in the day and have a great competition. Like, I think the days of having a seafood diet and, you know, not really taking nutrition or recovery outside of the gym into consideration, like, I think those days are gone. Like, unless you are like a genetic freak, like, you can't get away with that these days, because, you know, most people are doing it, you know. So you just got to make sure that you are keeping on top of these things if you want to be the best athlete that you can. And like, Realistically, I'm not like the top level lifter, but I want to be the best athlete I can be. You know, I want to look back on meets and say that I kind of gave it my all. I want to make sure that when I'm going into training that I'm not having like erratic performances, because you know how shit it feels when you have a shit training session. Like, I don't want that. I want to make sure that I'm going in and having the best ones possible. And you know, if shit one happens, you know, so be it. That is life. But if I can control the controllables, why not? Time for the final meal. So we have fillet steak. Treat myself to good cuts of steak because the meat over here is not great. The fillet is a little bit expensive, but I don't spend my money on anything else other than food and the gym. My vegetables here, so green beans again, have some grated carrot, and then there is some pinto beans underneath there. Then we have just 200 grams of cooked rice, so a pretty small meal. I'll show you when this bad boy is finished. Combo. That pretty much wraps up today's day of eating. So I'm gonna eat this and watch something before I chill out and go to sleep. But yeah, I suppose like if there's anything that I think I could improve upon, definitely with nutrition, is my meal timings, especially on a day like today. We made a big mistake of going on our walk quite late and having our breakfast quite late. So then that meant, you know, if we wanted to, you know, space out meals a little bit more, we'd have to push our bedtime back, but gotta keep the bedtime consistent. Okay, if it starts going awry, that's when everything falls to shit. So definitely need to improve my meal timing. But other than that, you can see from the meals I'm having, good quality food. It doesn't seem miserable. I mean, if your performance, but it doesn't seem like it is food that most people would hate to eat, right? Have a fillet steak here, some cashew nuts, some nice white rice, nice jasmine rice. Diet does not have to be miserable. Hopefully now over the next few weeks, this is the only adjustment I need to make until I get to 1 week out. But then we're gonna do a weight cut video. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you took something away from my rants and just how I manage my own nutrition. That can pay off into how you can tailor your nutrition to improve your performance in powerlifting, building muscle, whatever it may be. I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna eat this. I'll catch you in the next one. If you haven't already, make sure you like the video. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.